This is Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network, and I'm your host, Mark. And today's guest reminds me to take my time. Please give a performance anxiety welcome to singer-songwriter Lynn Drury. She had made New Orleans her home, but she grew up in what sounds like every little girl's dream, raising and training quarter horses for the rodeo circuit in Mississippi. And she always loved music, but never actually considered pursuing it professionally. That is, until she was walking around New Orleans and just decided she didn't want to sell computers anymore. She wanted to play guitar and sing. So that's what she did. She took lessons, played wherever she could, sometimes gigging until 4 in the morning and then getting up to be at work by 8. Lynn and I discover we have some things in common, like insurance. And she tells a story she's never told before about the horrors of studying abroad. Nothing good comes from insurance sales. And she's spawned an idea I may have to implement from now on. A test for each guest at the end of every episode. That way, each show will have an actual bit of performance anxiety to it. Lynn has changed a few things over the years besides her profession. She's changed her writing process a little, her location after Katrina, but that was temporary, and the styles of music over the course of 10 albums. Her latest is High Tide and is out through Nola Americana Music. Go pick it up wherever you get music, and check out lyndrury.com. Also, check out her socials at Lynn Drury Rocks for up-to-date info, and our socials are Performance ANX, and we'd love for you to follow us on Instagram, X, and Threads. You can also slide us a cup of coffee at ko-fi.com/performanceanxiety. You can wear us via merch at performanceanx.threadless.com. And now check out Lynn Drury on Performance Anxiety, part of the Pantheon Podcast Network.
Okay. Hey, y'all, this is Lynn Drury, and you are listening to Mark Shea's Performance Anxiety Podcast. And, okay, yeah, no, I'm going to do that again. I know. It is so hard. Hey, y'all, this is Lynn Drury, and you're listening to Performance Anxiety Podcast with Mark Shea. And I'll have a new album coming out called High Tide. It will be released April 5th, everywhere that you get your music. I'll do it again, because I don't know how to, okay. Is it the performance? Just performance anxiety. I know, right? It's totally. All right. You are listening to Performance Anxiety Podcast with your host, Mark Shea. This is Lynn Drury from New Orleans. And I have a new record coming out called High Tide. Look out. I have a new record called High Tide, which will be out. No, shit. Okay. All right. One more time. Shaking it off. Hello. Hey, y'all. This is Lynn Drury, and you are listening to Performance Anxiety Podcast. Oh, shit. I shouldn't have known. Okay. Hey, y'all. This is Performance Anxiety. Shit. Hey, y'all. This is Lynn Drury, singer-songwriter from New Orleans, coming at you on the performance. Sorry. I'm going to do that one more time. Hey, y'all. This is Lynn Drury, and you are listening to... Shit. Yeah. I mean, just... Okay. All right. I don't know how to work in the album to where it sounds right. Okay. Okay, here I go. Hey, everybody. This is Lynn Drury, singer-songwriter from New Orleans. And you are listening to... And you are listening to Performance Anxiety Podcast with Mark... Hey, everybody. This is Lynn Drury, singer-songwriter from New Orleans. And you're listening to Performance Anxiety Podcast. And look out for my new record called High Tide, out April 5th. Can you do that? Yeah, that's about as good as it's going to get. All right. Yay. How are you doing today?
Oh, I was doing good until I got home, which is the weirdest thing to say because I hate my job. But
oh, no.
Oh, it's terrible. But my wife was going to be nice and order just a small personal pizza and like 6 Jamaican jerk wings for us to just split for dinner. We're trying to portion control things a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
50, I got to start taking care of shit It's about damn time. Well, the delivery driver, I don't remember who DoorDash, I think, dropped the food off. And my wife opens the pizza and there's only half a pizza there.
Oh my God.
So we have no idea what happened, but she's like, what the hell is this? So,
someone stole your pizza.
Oh, but only half.
Only half of it.
They took the right half. So she had to contact DoorDash and was just like, what the hell is this? So they gave us all credit and all, but she's like, I'm not eating that pizza. I don't know what anybody did to it. I'm like, I'll eat it. You don't have to worry about that.
Right. I just learned that our Pizza Delicious, like they just throw out all the free pizzas in the Bywater, like where I live. And
oh, wow.
My hairdresser told me today that she goes, you know why everybody hangs out there, right? At 10 o'clock, because they just throw all the pizzas out and they just wait for the free pizzas. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. It's good to know in case I get super hungry.
Yeah, suddenly become homeless.
Yes.
It could happen.
It could, money flows to me easily, though. So,
I know.
I ain't letting that word into my vocabulary.
Well, hey, at this point, why? I haven't either.
Yes, indeed.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. I'm really excited. I've been listening to the new album and to all the old albums just to get a feel, and I've just had a blast listening to it. It's just so
cool.
Awesome.
So today was a bit hectic for me because I had PT also today, and
is that for your shoulder?
Ooh, yeah, and they did a number on me.
Oh, I heard about that. How's it going?
It's a lot better, but it's still, still slow going. But I'm getting there. I don't have a frozen shoulder, so that's good. So I'm strumming, I'm playing. I just don't have the stamina and the endurance that I would normally have. But
right. Oh.
Yeah.
Those shoulder injuries take a while sometimes. Oh, man.
Yeah, I've never had any injury in my life, so it's a new thing for me to have to rely on other people.
And it's, of course, your strumming shoulder. It couldn't be, you could be like a sprained ankle where you could Phil Collins it, just sit down and play.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're in recovery at this point. And what I like to do with this is kind of start from the beginning, find out a little bit about how you got into this whole racket in the first place. And I know you're from Mississippi, but you didn't get into music immediately. I know that I've heard a little bit of the family history, but I would love you to explain a little bit to me, because it's a lot different from a lot of people I've had on the podcast. I mean, it sounds like every little girl's dream, the way you lived, the way you grew up.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't grow up, really, looking back on it, it was like a job, but I mean, looking back on it, of course, yes, it was idyllic, but at the time it was work, it was a lot of work. And,
cause you were raising quarter horses.
Yeah.
Your family was.
Yeah. And we moved, when I was 3, we moved to near Picayune, Mississippi, which is 45 miles from New Orleans. So the majority of my life was spent, near New Orleans and going to New Orleans and falling in love with New Orleans. But when we moved to Picayune, Carrier area, and so when we moved there, my dad was a very competitive, he loved horses, and he kind of grew up with horses too. And he just found a little niche of training barrel racing horses. So, and then of course, he wanted to do everything, but all of that he did while he held down a day job too. So the whole, as soon as 5 o'clock hit or whatever, when we got home from school, we were out there at the barn riding horses. And I think at the time of the heyday of it all, when my dad was winning, and my sister won the AQHA World Show, Junior World, for her horse.
Oh, wow.
And at that time, it was like, my high school and junior high days. And so, there was breeding going on. There was, my dad had a champion stud horse.
Oh, okay.
Skip-Door Ranch.
Wow.
And so not only were there like a million horse trailers and people at our house every weekend just hanging out, getting a tune-up, he would say, you call it a tune-up, for the barrel racing horses. And then,
okay.
But then, we had about 40 horses growing up, and I had to water all of them every day. So,
oh my gosh,
that was like maybe when I was like 11 or 12, that was my job up until I went. Yeah. And so, I made it to the high school rodeo finals, and we did all that. We traveled every weekend, and I made it to the national high school rodeo finals, which was that was like 10th, 11th, and 12th grade year. And my brother was a team roper, and we were in the rodeo kind of culture and circuit, and yeah.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Before you skip over this ad, give me 1 minute. Like most podcasts, I pick sponsors carefully, and I use the products that advertise here. Pure Spectrum CBD is a product that has been really beneficial for me. They have a wide variety of great products that can be used on a daily or as needed basis. I've been using the tincture every day, and it's been wonderful for easing anxiety. And I absolutely love the isolate. I use it instead of acetaminophen or ibuprofen, and it's worked so well for the relief of aches and pains. They also have soaks, lotions, salves, gummies, and more, plus an entire line for fitness recovery. They even have products for your pets. See everything they offer at purespectrumcbd.com. And if you have questions, they're there to help. They helped me when I had no idea where to start. After you fill your cart, use code PerformanceANX for 15% off your purchase. Pure Spectrum CBD, Pure Spectrum CBD, Pure Spectrum CBD. And
that was a big part of my life. But music was always there too,
Okay. So that's what I was curious about. Was there a lot in the house? I mean, what were you listening to? What was influencing you at the time?
Yeah, man. I remember just like Earl Thomas Conley and stuff like that. I loved Earl Thomas Conley. And
oh, wow.
I loved John Conley. I loved, we listened to a lot of country, just a lot of like I remember being at the Dixie National Rodeo in the 80s and seeing Reba McEntire on a flatbed trailer in the Mississippi coast, not in the Mississippi coast, in the Jackson Coliseum.
Oh my gosh.
In Jackson, Mississippi. Yeah. So, and I remember her introducing her drummer. She's like, he's from So-So, Mississippi, which is a tiny little town, So-So.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so I was really into country music. George Strait. I mean, when the first time I heard Amarillo by Morning, I think I just had the record and I just listened to it over and over and over and over and over again. I also did that. I would obsess when I was a kid. I obsessed over Charlie Daniels' Devil Went Down to Georgia and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
So I obsessed over music. That was my realm at that point. But at the same time, I was playing clarinet in high school band. And so, like, probably one of my earliest, and my older brother and sister were clarinet and trumpet players. And so I would see them in this it's like 79, 78, aging myself. But when I was little, I saw the heyday of the brass band, on field.
Yeah. And
that really, really struck me. And it just, by the time I got there in the 85, 86, and nobody wanted to play in the band. It was uncool, and I was still there, and I was a drum major in my senior year. And
that's awesome.
I loved concert band. I loved band. I loved being in a big ensemble. And my high school band teacher actually told me when I graduated to go and continue music in college. And it just went right out.
I did really?
Actually. Yeah, I did actually go to community college, and then I realized I was 10th chair or something. In clarinet, I was in a bigger pool. It was a bigger college, and so, but I still loved it. But I did about a semester of that, and I took voice, and I just didn't. In my family, it wasn't like pursue music. It was just like get a job, get your insurance, because we didn't grow up with a lot of money, so I had to pay for my own college and all that. Yeah. So business kind of. I tested good. So I went to university and got a business degree. Of course, it took me a long time to get a business degree, but I was on the 6-year plan.
Hey, I did something similar. I was on like the 15-year plan, so I get it.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I went to college for photography and then left, got a job in the field I did it for about 15 years professionally, and then met my wife, started a family, and then I had to get a real job because she wanted to stay at home with the kids, and all of our insurance was through her. So I'm like, all right, time to get a real job with a steady income and insurance and all stuff.
Yeah, same thing, man. I sat out. I worked at NASA for about 4 years. They kind of put me through college.
Oh, wow.
And I worked just like mail. I don't know what a clerk.
Yep.
Whatever. I worked for the Navy contracts office, and that was Stennis Space Center, and near where I grew up is a testing site. It's in between. It's in Mississippi. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. I did that. I sat out and I kind of like partied, and
same here.
I went back, and then when I went back to college, then I graduated, and and I mean, music was always, I sang in church too. So music was always kind of a part of my life, and I was very passionate about it, but it didn't dawn on me until like my senior year, and that I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be playing music, So
what happened? How did you get back into it and start really pursuing it?
Well, I was working in sales. I'd actually had a class called The Enjoyment of Music at University, Southern Mississippi. And the professor Zananelli, I believe was his name, he gave a hearing test of flats and sharps.
Okay.
And I just couldn't believe that everybody around me, nobody could hear the difference. So that's when it clicked. That they couldn't hear it was slightly higher or lower. They could, and I could see everybody's paper because it was an auditorium class, supposed to be like an easy class.
Yeah.
So I could just see how no one can hear. And then he sort of explained pop music and radio and how they kind of beat you over the head with major chords. And he was a purist. And so he thought music deserved to be all your full attention, like don't drive and listen to music. He wouldn't do that. He would focus on the music. Yeah. He was
intense.
He was very intense and, and really awesome though. And so then he took us through the major periods of music, and so when I started listening and studying and that was it. So that spurred my musical sort of journey. And then the next year I had a sales job, and I believe I was selling early computer equipment and stuff.
Wow.
Bulletin board. We had a guy in Bay St. Louis. I'm blanking on his name. Really brilliant guy that started.
He's going to be so mad. He probably listens to the podcast.
G-Tech Industries. Anyway, shout out to G-Tech. I sold things that I didn't even know what they were, but they were back there soldering these little connector, like to get multiple channels in your computer or whatever, BBS stuff. Anyway, Early days.
Yeah.
Early days. Man. And then about 1995, I moved to New Orleans, and I was just walking in the French Quarter, and I was like, you know what? I think I want to play guitar and sing. And so,
had you sung before? I mean, you said choir and stuff, right? But had you ever done it on your own solo before?
No.
Wow.
No, I never played guitar, and I just picked up the guitar. I was about 25 at that point, and I was in a bar in New Orleans, and back then this was like 95, 96. I think I moved here in December of 95. So anyway, I was just at a bar. And me and my ex were just hanging out. And I said, I need guitar lessons. And this guy goes, I teach guitar at the bar.
Wow.
And it ended up being Chris Wood, who just showed me all of his Dylan songs and his Neil Young songs and just showed me chords. And we stayed in his living room in New Orleans for like a whole year and just chugged away. And then I went to an open mic And I was playing the Neutral Ground Coffee House too. And that was kind of my first gig. I remember my first gigs at the coffee house. I would make a mistake and I would just say, I'm so sorry. I messed up the, blah, blah, blah. And finally the manager came over and he's like, hey, you're not bad. So stop. I got one word of advice for you is to stop saying you're sorry after every song. And so I would have to bite my tongue, but I eventually learned that lesson that not everybody can pick out a mistake like you can,
Or your college professor.
Right.
It's a good thing he wasn't in the audience.
Exactly.
He would have let you know for sure.
Exactly. But yeah, I ended up landing a gig at Margaritaville, which was
cool.
in 98. And that sort of was kind of like where I cut my teeth for 5 years. I did 2 days a week or whenever, at that point I was playing all over whoever would, in New Orleans, it's really easy to do that as a young artist and just get those gigs and, they pay you a percentage of the ring or whatever. And
cool.
It's good practice.
Yeah.
And back in those days, we were gigging 3, 4, 5 nights a week.
Now, were you playing covers or originals or a mix?
So I started I hit the ground writing. Yeah. Cool. So I was always focused on my own songs,
Okay.
And then I learned some covers. I used to cover Ani DeFranco's and influenced around that time. And Patty Rothberg. Did you remember Patty Rothberg?
No.
Between the 1 and the 9.
That sounds familiar. I don't remember her name, but
treat me like dirt. Treat me like dirt.
Okay.
All of her songs were famous on the radio. All of her songs were hits off that record.
That sounds familiar. I didn't know the name though.
But I loved her so much.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know where she is, but hey, if you're out there.
We'll tag her on the social media stuff.
Oh, cool. And then I sort of went down the I got into, Wilco and Uncle Tupelo. Yeah. I went through an all country roots rock phase, I guess.
Oh, that's all. I love that stuff. 16 horsepower, old 97s. I love
old 97s. I love them. Ryan Adams. I was into Whiskey Town and stuff like that. I just kept kind of digging deeper in that. And yeah, I did the club. I still do local club stuff, but not as many of those. I don't know what you call them, workhorse gigs, I guess.
I don't know, but I like that term.
Yeah. I'm a workhorse. They call me that, but it's no, I don't want to play 4 hours. No.
Yeah, you've paid your dues at this point.
Oh, yeah.
And then some.
Oh, yeah.
So how long did it take you to get to the point where you're like, all right, I'm ready to record my album? How did that happen?
Yeah. It took me a long time to record the first album. So I ran out of the gate writing. Mm-hmm. So it was almost like when I learned 3 chords, 4 chords, it was just like floodgates,
Oh, nice.
Everything that I ever felt was all there and it was all just came out. So, and that first album is kind of a culmination of quite a few years because I think that's from 96, 97. And then the record, I started recording it in 98. And then I sort of it was always hard for me to get what I was thinking down into the sound. But, so I had a band called Lynn Drury and the Drivers, which was, like a bar band, and Larry Hall and John Markley and Kufaru. He's rest in peace. He's no longer with us. Kufaru Mouton. But I had different people that would play there's always subs and all that. And then I met my boyfriend at the time, which he was a bass player. So he had a band called Bad Mayo. You can't make it up.
I love that name. Oh my God.
Yeah. He was a real goofball, and we hit it off. So we really hit it off and became kind of a writing duo. And so he kind of helped me in the studio because he was way better at organizing and arranging. Okay. So I had the hooks and the melody sense, and he was really good at form, you know, and I really learned a lot from him about just regular forms. But I grew up on pop music, so I grew up on radio, and I love pop music, and but also wasn't afraid to kind of do my own thing too, you know. But yeah, so by the time he got involved, I was already in the middle of then breaking up with my little first band. So that was a little bit of a rift. We kind of parted ways. And then I had half a record. And then we redid it with his friends and his band. And yeah. So that record has two different drummers and two different bass players, that first record of mine. So it's like two bands. So that I didn't finish that record until 2001. It came out 2001.
Yeah.
So that took me like 3 years to make.
Oh, wow.
And that's just like stopping and starting. Like there were so many versions of that record. Like somewhere I have like demos of the Lynn Drury and the Drivers. Because every time I would make something, I would sell it. I was selling all that at the club.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I was just we were burning them and making our own paper bag. But yeah. So, and then I joined the Bad Mayo. It was Lynn Drury and Bad Mayo. We made 2 records together really fast, like one after the other.
Piece together where the finest moments, word slips, glass raised, broken silence where the laughter tide rises, bloom of spring jumps the fence. So I'll throw a Susan B. Anthony in that wishing well, walk a maze of cedar and at the end talk of old friends.
So 2001 and 2002 was Blackberry Winter, and 2003 was Spun. Those 2 records were with Bad Mayo, Lynn Drury and Bad Mayo. And then that went south, and I took some time off. I think it's important to take time between, you know, I don't know. Yeah. I would love to be in the studio all the time, but, you know.
Well, you need time to breathe and develop new ideas, new materials. You know, you don't want to rehash the same thing over and over again.
Right. And I don't know, something about the quality, I think, goes down if you're constantly digging in the barrel trying to find, I don't know.
No, that makes sense.
Time for me to have things roll around, you know, for a while.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Well, I was listening to the first album, and what I noticed is from the very beginning, you've got this like awesome sense of humor in your writing, which I really like this like drugstore. That
good.
I just smiled all the way through that song. That was a great song.
I paid for $39 for 6 slices of ham. Yeah, but I don't really care, 'cause I got money to spend. You know, I'm working all night, I make my money singing. And what I really need now is a drink, is what I'm thinking. And a little something to tide me over. I buy my groceries at the drugstore. Well, I'm walking down the aisles and I'm dazed and confused. I got some change in my pocket I can't wait to use. They're up in 20.
But I absolutely love Pretty in Blue. That I love that song. That is amazing.
Thank you.
I don't know, but I think it was a Wednesday afternoon when he said, come on in, garden of sin. I can't feel my legs, I must be walking on air. Yeah. Oh, pretty and blue, pretty and blue. You know I'll be there for you.
Did the second album come faster, or because there's like a 3-year gap or so between the first 2?
No, there's no gap.
No, okay. Let me.
2001, 2002, 2003. So once we hit the Bad Mayo band, that was just wonderful, like 4-part harmonies. Everybody in the band could sing, and
See, Discogs has it all wrong then, because they got Crossing Frequencies is 2001, and then next is All You Need at 2006.
So they don't have the Lynn Drury Bad Mayo records in between there.
No.
So there's 2002 is Blackberry Winter. If you look up,
Let me see.
yeah, I've tried to straighten out a bunch of stuff on the.
It's so hard. Sometimes they're amazing, and sometimes Discogs takes me down a bad path.
Yeah, like All Music has some of the credits too, I think.
Okay. Okay, so that makes a little more sense to me now then.
Yeah, so in 2002 and 3, so those records were half 60% my songs, 40% Dave's writings, and then I would help him with the lyrics, and then he would help me with the arrangements, that kind of thing.
So in between albums, this has become your full-time job at this point? Is this what you're doing, or are you still working in between gigging and recording?
No, so I was working. I had like a salary job, secretarial, executive assistant job. And then I believe in 2000, wow, yeah, I don't remember. Well, no, 98, I ended up jumping out and going to work for a music production company.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I worked for them until 99, I think. And then I worked little part-time stuff. And I was kind of at that point jumping off the board sort of, and then going back to like part-time. And I was still gigging a lot, but yeah, it got hard gigging till 4 a.m. and getting up for an 8 a.m. job.
Yeah, the 4-hour sets. Jeez.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
So I did that a bunch though, and didn't have any trouble, but I think it was about 2000. Well, it was Katrina that really, I never went back to a day job after that.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I had a really cool gig with a guy I learned a lot from in 2003 and 4, I believe. I started working with him, and it was just a sales job, like a Girl Friday kind of job. And he was just a one-man office, but he had this really cool, his father had invented those plastic ketchup bottles and stuff. Like he was into plastics, right?
Wow.
And Harvard graduate, John Beaumont, big shout out. And I think his son is now taking over the plastic industrial products.
I'm taking on sponsors if he's interested.
Yay. He really taught me a lot. He taught me a lot about relationships, and he knew that my music came first, and he let me go out on the weekend, and I could either work, Tuesday through Friday or Monday through Thursday, depending if I had tour or whatever.
Oh, that's awesome.
He really worked with me. But when Katrina hit, he's like, your job is here. And I said, I got nowhere to live.
Oh.
So there's 6 feet of water in my house in New Orleans. So I moved to Memphis for about a year, and I couldn't get anything going there. And I was I was not doing well but it was a springboard for me to just travel. And I just started traveling. I just kept going against all odds. And then I landed back here, I believe it's. In that time, though, when I was in Memphis, I met Jimbo Mathis, and that's when I made the record, All You Need.
Oh, okay. That album is amazing. I love that album, specifically Down the Road and Soundtrack.
I'll be the only one to feel attention and release when I come. The release when I come. I'll be the soundtrack while you're walking.
Thank you.
God, those are some fantastic songs.
Yeah, Jimbo Mathis is a genius, I think. He's one of my favorite artists. And we got to spend a week together making that record, and he was really great. And he's now spending some time in New Orleans. So I get to see him every once in a while, you know. But yeah, that was a good experience for me because he's always working and he's so artistic and he's drawing things. He's doing all kinds of other,
just creative stuff.
Yeah, he was just drawing his own. Squirrel Nut Zippers. I loved them. When I moved here, they were pretty big, and so it was like meeting one of my idols, and he was just like, I was just 20-year-old, 22 or whatever, and they were just doing their thing in Clarksdale. I had no idea they had this amazing thing. I mean, probably they knew, but
right.
You know what I mean? But just kids, being thrown into it.
Yeah, it's incredible, and when you look back at the age of some of these people when they exploded, I don't know how they handle I know I probably would have just completely imploded my life if that had happened to me. So good on them.
Yeah,
for
I don't
not.
know. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Didn't happen to me.
Well, you didn't get started until your mid-20s, so.
I know.
Well, one of the things that I really like about your whole catalog is your vocal delivery. You've got this awesome, laid-back, sultry kind of, definitely Southern sound, and it's fantastic because you juxtapose it with so many different song styles. Like I was listening to everything, and you've like the album "Come to My House." It's a little more rock than some of the other stuff.
Yeah.
You got a little reggae in there. Dance in the Kitchen. There's some funk in there. So I love it. But your vocals always sound like you. And it's this very, like I said, laid back kind of thing. It's instantly recognizable as you. And I think that's not easy to do. And I love the fact that you're able to do it throughout your whole catalog. It's very impressive.
I mean, I was 27 or 28 when I knew that. Okay, I can, because I'm a good mimic too. And I can, when I was growing up, with my girlfriends, I could sing and I could sound like Michael Jackson. I could sound like,
oh, wow.
I mean, I could mimic all these voices. And so I don't know, somehow I had the insight when I was young I knew that when I started that the most important thing was to stop covering other people and sounding like them and to find my own voice. And then I've always been shooting for that, even though, but that's one thing that I knew from the beginning was like, okay, I can sound like all these other people. Where is my voice? And then that was kind of a journey for me to find out where it was. And because it was the culmination of all the people that I love and that I mimicked probably, Oh,
yeah. And that's the hardest thing to do is to find your own voice.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
It wasn't until people started pointing it out to me. They're like, you do this little thing and you do this little warble or whatever. I'm like, I do? You do this. And I'm like, oh, I do that. But that's like from listening to like R&B and soul growing up and country. And every once in a while, I'm like, I have so many influences. I grew up listening to WTIX, which is a oldie station in New Orleans. Oh, wow.
I love oldie stations. I grew up with one in New Jersey, and they play. You never know what they're going to play.
Yeah. And I mean, I just because they throw New Orleans stuff in there too.
Oh,
so I kind of grew up with the knowledge of New Orleans music. And it wasn't until probably about 15 years in that it started to sound like something different, cohesive, like I could play different genres of music and it all sounded like me, kind of thing.
Okay.
But that took a while for New Orleans mixed with my country, mixed with all the other stuff,
Yeah. And
the oldie stuff.
And okay, so that makes a lot more sense. Where all the different styles in music are coming from. It's all your influences.
Yes.
The way you write, I like a lot too, because it's very direct. Some songs are stories, and some are more allegorical, some are metaphorical, but it's always direct. It's not Nothing seems to be hidden. At least not to me. And that just, if I can figure it out, that means it's being probably pretty direct. So
nice. I appreciate that. I go through phases of writing, but I'm not always doing it, but I'm always kind of doing it in my head. But I'm always trying to capture a picture, an image, and that I can describe a little bit, and maybe you can take a different meaning from it. That's kind of what I've always tried to do is paint a compelling picture with words. I don't always get there, and I know when I don't, and I know when I do, but it's you know what I mean? I'm my own worst critic. But,
I know. I know the feeling.
And sometimes sometimes Dancing in the Kitchen song, that song was in my book for 6 or 7 years. I threw that away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wherever you go, don't you worry about me. I'll be playing that rock and roll with a funky little beat, yeah. Oh, I'll be dancing in the kitchen. Oh, I'll be stirring something up. And all that time you was wishing that you could call me up, and you can. Oh, I come a-running.
Because I said it wasn't good enough. It was too pop. And I was like, no, it's not good enough. And I never really wrote a third verse or something. It's one of those things. And so I'm always like, well, there's no bridge. There's no whatever, So, but the producer, who's another amazing artist, Rick Robertson. I don't know if you follow him.
No, I'll have to.
He is amazing. Look out for him. He's definitely.
I'm writing that down.
And his real name is Eric, but he goes by R.I.C.
Good to know, because I put a K in there. All right.
Yeah, I know. R.I.C. Robertson. Oh,
all right.
Wow. His record, The Fool, the Friend.
Okay.
Absolutely one of the best records I've heard in a long time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. As far as songwriting, and he's influenced by he covered a Jerry Reed song.
Nice.
I'm like, oh my God, I love Jerry Reed.
Yeah.
And he covered the Jerry Reed song on there. Oh, geez. I'm busy. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's what editing's for.
Okay, good. I live in sort of a communal building, and so people just come in and out.
Oh, no big deal. I've had that happen all the time. I have dogs barking and babies crying. I've had police go, but there's a fire close by at once. There's all kinds of crazy crap. Has your writing process changed at all over the past couple of decades that you've been doing music? And I don't mean necessarily like what you write about, but maybe even how you write.
No, it's all scribbled on envelopes.
Oh, I love that. That is great.
And this is what'll happen to me. I'll definitely get a melody, and and then I'll either clean something or take a shower, or like if I'm scrubbing the baseboards, something. It feels like it's stuff that is in my in my brain. But there's always music in my brain, I know you probably have a lot of musicians that say that, but there's definitely always something. There's always something going on. Either it's like something in replay that I know that's off the radio or whatever. But yeah, as far as I used to get scared every time I would write a song, and then I wouldn't write anything for like 3 months, and I would always get scared that I'm not really a writer and that it's over, it's never gonna come to me again.
Yeah, that imposter syndrome.
Yeah. And then it would happen. And then I would write 3 songs within 2 days.
Oh, nice.
And they would all just come pouring out. And then I'm like, hi again, And then I'm like, oh my God, when am I, so I just try to, now I'm sort of like, yeah, I'm a writer. I don't write all the time, like I should. I don't wake up in the morning and go, let me write down my thoughts. But I get emotional and I get triggered by things, and I see, like if I see a picture or some descriptive thing, then I can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it sort of comes all together, and then I'll pick up the guitar and I'll pick it out, and then I'll have a beginning, you know.
You've kind of flattened out that roller coaster a bit.
Yeah, I don't stress
That's
about
good.
it as much anymore. And also, I work very well under stress because when I went into the studio, I didn't have, I think 2 of the songs were not finished.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, you can kind of tell on one of them because I say, I don't have any words that go right here.
I love that part. Oh, Live My Life. I love that part.
I just wanna live my life outside. I just wanna feel the sun shining down on my skin. Feels so good. And I don't have any words that go right here. That's okay. No, I don't have anything left to say, but it's all gonna be okay.
That's my drummer, my old drummer friend. He moved away and he called me and he goes, I go, look, that's just placeholder lyrics. You know, I'm going to write a line before we go in the studio. And then he called me back and he said, his wife, Sarah, is like, actually, Sarah loves that line. And so I just kept it in.
I'm glad you did because I think that's awesome. I love stuff like that.
So many people are depressed, you know, and kind of distraught and I was feeling the weight of all of the people during the pandemic, I think.
Yeah.
And I felt a real responsibility to lift people up, you know, in a way, and just be like, keep going, just keep going.
Yeah. Lead by example.
This too shall pass, right?
So you mentioned the new album, High Tide. So this is your 10th album. That's amazing. That's a hell of an accomplishment. Congratulations.
Thank you.
One of the things I think is so cool about this is it sounds like you, but it doesn't sound like a repeat of any of the other albums.
That's awesome that you said that. When I heard this record, I was like, oh my God, I finally made the record of my life. You know, I really feel like now I can go confidently and record. Like there's already songs I want to record again, but I'm going to produce. I feel like I can figure out what I want. I mean, I want to make another record with Papa Molly actually too, because he's so amazing.
Yeah, you've got some great people on this album. So
yeah.
Can you tell me who's involved in it? You see Papa Molly and who else? Because I don't have my list in front of me.
Papa Molly and I met and just had a wonderful connection and rapport, and he plays guitar. He's from Shreveport, Louisiana originally. And we just had a real connection. He's just like, I get you. And he said, when we were at the Maple Leaf, and he's like, I want to play guitar for you. I think I know exactly what you need, you know? And so I was like, yeah. And we I needed somebody, you know, to help me. I ended up getting the grant from Threadhead Cultural Foundation. And they're like an organization here that helps local musicians record, and they'll pay your studio session and they'll pay the musicians. And
that's awesome.
So that got me in there. Of course, big shout out to CSB, Roxy Music for helping me finish it. But anyway, yeah, that got us in there. And he just is so simplistic in his playing, but yet he knows how to create that world sort of. He plays the perfect thing on every song. And they're also different. I was just floored when I heard even the roughs. So we got the roughs back. He didn't want to edit anything.
That is amazing.
Let's just release this with the 4 of us. I was like, are you insane?
That's awesome. Oh my gosh.
I'm like, okay, yeah, it does sound good live, just like it is. Because it's totally live, right?
Oh, wow.
Pretty much. I mean, I maybe overdubbed High Tide. I wrote in the studio.
Wow.
Yeah, that came to me the first night I was there.
That song I love the horns in that because they work with the song. So the song is called High Tide. The horns are soft and rolling like a tide, and they fit perfectly with the atmosphere of the song.
Just let it all sink to the bottom.
had a hand in the production of the horns.
Well,
Yay.
one of the things that always bugs me about horns is that they're always blaring. They always sound like
Yeah.
the mariachi band kind of horns. And this is not that at all. This is soft, and it's just what the song needs.
Jason Mingledorff is one of the most talented sax players that we have in New Orleans. And Satoru Ohashi plays trumpet.
Oh,
and so Jason was kind of running it, you know. And I play with another band with him, which is the Shantytown Underground, which is Papa Molly's. It is ska and dance hall. Sorry.
Okay.
Confused on my reggae terms.
Yeah, I'm
More dance hall, more old, like how New Orleans influenced dance hall, reggae and stuff. So there's a lot of New Orleans covers that are done kind of reggae-ish.
Oh, cool.
So I sing in that band as well.
That's
and
awesome.
Jason's in that band, but Jason's in a million other Grammy-winning bands. Jason Mingledorff, look him up.
Gosh, man,
yeah, he's amazing. And so, yeah, High Tide. I wrote that came to me it's Maurice, Louisiana. The studio is called Dockside.
Oh, okay.
And Doug Belote, who's amazing. Doug Belote on drums. Renee Coman from the Iguanas on bass.
I love the Iguanas. They're so good.
Another one of my idols, like when I first moved here, that first record of the Iguanas, I rode all the way to LA and back. I wasn't even playing music yet. And that album just was like, I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Oh man.
You know? So yeah, having Renee play with me is, wow, he's so great. And I don't even know how he does it. I'm just like, I don't know what you do, but
just keep doing it on my albums.
It's perfect, you know, where he puts the bass.
Yeah.
He's got all the good stuff.
Well, the album is so cool. I love how you started off with the song Blue. I think that sets a fantastic tone for the rest of the album. Again, like Drugstore, it makes me smile just listening to it. Every time I listen to it, I just got a big old smile on my face, and it just sets the tone for the rest of the album. I think one of the things I like is your voice has changed just slightly over the years. There's a little bit of a rasp that I love now. It's like it's almost like a Stevie Nicks kind of rasp to it, and there's a realness to it about it that I just absolutely love.
Thank you, Mark. Oh my God,
I
appreciate that.
I think it enhances a lot of what you're doing.
Yeah. I struggle with. I actually was just, doing the lyrics. So I was listening back, and I haven't listened to it in a while. I don't like to listen too much.
I hear that a lot. I never listen to my own stuff.
No, not after I make it. After I make it, it's done.
Yep.
It's gone. I'm on to the next song. I'm on to the next record, But I had to listen back to make sure I had the lyrics right. And so I was listening, and I was just like, ooh. Like I wish sometimes my voice were, but it is what it is. And
I've enjoyed it so much.
Actually, I don't think I've ever had my voice captured the way it is on this record ever before. And that's Justin Tockett, the engineer.
Oh, wow.
He's so amazing. And he's the engineer there. And I just was floored. And I was just like, how it sounds like the microphone is, because a lot of people come up to me at shows, and I have some diehard fans that are just, they love seeing me live, and they're just like, every record, they're like, no, Lynn, this is not how you sound, like,
oh, wow.
You gotta get. And so this is the first record that I think captures really what I sound like, live.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But I mean, You can still tell it's me, right? John Porter produced that Come to My House record that you were mentioning. And he's really famous, you know.
Yeah.
He did Kev Moe's record, I think.
Oh, wow.
The Grammy-winning record that he did a bunch. I did Buddy Guy too, I think. But he was a joy to work with too. And he took it in a different direction, you know, sonically. It was more rock record.
Yep.
Which was really cool. And all this lead stuff that he, you know, added and everything. Like I think there's something on every record that I'm proud of for sure.
I hope so, because I like them.
But then there's this record, I think, that is the most cohesive sound that I've gotten. Okay. I don't know.
Well, but I've been loving the whole thing. I mean, definitely have my favorites, which Blue, Fade, High Tide. That's an amazing trio to start the album with. I love Love Bomb. That is such a great song. That's so catchy.
Everybody said I dodged a bullet, but it feels more like I took the hit. I guess it was always the easy target, hanging on after the love bomb. I saw the writing.
Yeah. I'm glad because I've been looking at my Spotify every day and I keep gaining because of Love Bomb. We released that a few weeks ago. That thing is blowing up.
Nice.
Love Bomb is blowing up. That's my quote. I'm sticking to it.
That took me a second to catch. I didn't catch it immediately. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I get it now. Like I said, sometimes if I get it, it's pretty direct.
Yeah.
So,
true story.
Waiting Game. That sounds like it's a true story. Is that what we were talking about before? Did you kind of tell that story a little earlier on in the podcast?
No.
Okay.
I think so.
I'm getting the feeling that I might not be hearing from you. I thought I learned my lesson. Instead, I'm playing the guessing game. It's just the
waiting game. Which one did I tell earlier? I don't remember.
About the bassist breaking up with...
Oh, yeah, no.
Different story. Okay.
Different era.
So is there a lot of your own personal experience in this album, or is it more writing stories?
Oh, no, it's always, write what you know best. I'm definitely trying to break out of the breakup song, because I'm pretty much over that at this point. But
you're breaking up with breakup songs.
Yes, I'm breaking up. You heard it here first.
That's the stupidest joke in the world.
Oh. But yeah, I think I want to go to another level of writing, so to speak. But
okay.
But yeah, the waiting game was just, I love phrasing. I love working it all out. And that was just kind of a kiss off song,
That's Yeah. Good. You did a good job on that.
I will not name names, but they will know who they are.
Okay. All right.
Hopefully.
The album out, and are you touring with this? Do you stay locally? Or are you planning on spreading out of the New Orleans area? Yeah,
I hope that I'm healed up enough to tour this summer. In fact, I'm already working on it. And it seems to be people are calling me and trickling in little things. And, I'm going to have to buy a van, I guess. And
oh, boy.
I don't know.
Oh,
I had to rent one last year. But no, I do a lot of solo touring. but
that was my next question. That was going to be my next question. Is it usually by yourself, or do you put a band together for this?
Yeah, I usually tour solo because, expenses and all that.
Yeah.
But this year, a lot of things have just moved to, converged. And so I have a friend in upstate New York that just bought he bought like a country house,
Okay.
And he says, you can use it as a home base. There's an extra house there's going to be an extra studio. And there's like all the bedrooms. You can bring the band and tour from there. And so Rochester's like an hour, and Syracuse, and we'll probably do Buffalo again because we did the Big Easy to Buffalo. So I can do that, right? I can tour up solo, fly the band in, not pay for hotel rooms, which killed me last year.
Oh, but.
And you would think that the Drury Inn and Suites would give me a sponsorship.
You would think.
I got to get my people on that.
Oh, man. Well, I'll send them this podcast.
Yay.
We'll tag them in the social medias, and then there you go. That'll obviously do something.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to try to, I've got the festivals here locally, and maybe play in Baton Rouge, and just regionally, probably BB King's and stuff like that in Biloxi, Mississippi. I played there, and do a little local stuff, and then just go where the people want us, because right now Atlanta, I think, is going to be a stop, in New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
And then hopefully things will, hopefully we can get some stuff together.
Yeah, hopefully you can find somewhere in between Atlanta and New Jersey, like somewhere like DC, Virginia, because that's where I'm at.
Yes.
I'll come see a show.
Oh, good. Awesome. And you know what? I've never done DC, and I've always heard that there's a cool scene.
They've got amazing places to play. In fact, there's a bunch of theaters in DC and in the metro area, little venues, theaters, all kinds of clubs to play. I can shoot you all kinds of lists. There's so much around.
Oh, cool. I will have to connect on that.
Yeah, then. Definitely. DC, Virginia, Maryland, there's no shortage of places to play. Yeah. Cool. So one place I did play Charlottesville, Virginia. Oh, okay. That's like 4 hours away from where I'm at. Okay. So, that's down near like Richmond area and all that. That's quite a ways. Yeah, I'm actually in Winchester, so I'm like 90 minutes due west of DC. So, but I go into DC to shoot concerts all the time. So I do a lot of concert photography. So. Oh, nice. Yeah. We'll definitely have to hook up because I'm going to be coming through there. Awesome. Yeah. And I'll bring the camera and I'll shoot some shots. I'll give them to you and you can do whatever you want with them. Aw, thank you so much. Oh, my pleasure. At least I could do for coming on the podcast and putting up with my terrible jokes. How did you come up with the name Performance Anxiety? That was going to be kind of a through line that I just never got around to asking anybody. Oh, so I was wondering, I was like, is there going to be some like test at the end? You're going to ask me about, my performance anxieties or every once in a while I would ask somebody, but I never got and hopefully this comes across. It's very conversational and I try not to do like a bullet pointed question and answer period. And so I usually have a lot of fun and don't think about it. And I don't usually put it down in my notes unless that's a specific point that somebody wants to cover. And or like I had somebody reach out to me about doing a podcast about performance anxiety. And she's a musician, but also a hypnotherapist. So, yeah. So I just released that one a couple of weeks ago. Oh, I will definitely go listen. It's Elisa DiNapoli. So I'll text you links after this, but thank you. Yeah, but it ended up being more about overcoming my anxiety, just one-on-one conversations with people. Cause I get imposter syndrome a lot too. Cause like I said, I was a photographer for 15 years. I got out of it. And then now I go back and basically what I do besides shooting around the house and family and all And I'm like a carpenter, because they said, well, if you're a carpenter, none of your house is never done. When I was a photographer, my wife was taking all the pictures of the kids and everything. By the time I was at the end of the day, I was like, but so now between doing the podcast and content photography, I kind of get imposter syndrome a little bit, because I'm like, I'm just me. Why am I talking to these people who are so creative? But it almost became about overcoming my own performance anxiety in just having one-on-one conversations with people that I admire. So.
Yeah, that's great though. But you're tackling it.
But yeah, it's that, and getting a sales job really overcame it. That took, because when I was a photographer, I was behind the camera all the time, and that's one reason I liked it, because I was pretty shy. And then I had to make a living for my wife and my kids, so I had to overcome that real fast. And I was selling insurance. Wow. I was selling insurance door to door in Southeast Alabama. So that's tough. Yeah.
With non sequitur, I studied insurance on a British studies program my senior year of college. I decided to go to England for 6 weeks and study at the London School of Economics. So I did that. And the only thing I could get a grant for was my insurance professor was like, I give you $500 and you study. And yes. And then he said, I'm going to give you another $500, but keep your mouth shut. And I don't even want to talk about it. I never told anybody the story, but I got over there. He tried to pimp me out. He's like, this gentleman has 500 acres. Don't you want to go to his farm? And I'm like, we're looking at the original fire marks, right? For the ships that they would insure, the very first insurance. Yeah. We're like looking at this building, of all the original fire marks that were on the ships. And he's like, don't you want to go to his house? So I was like 20. I was probably one of the oldest students there. Like I said, it took me a while to get out. I was like 23, I think. And I just looked at him like, are you insane?
Oh my God.
Yeah. These are the things that, But I learned how to drink in England.
That's a place to do it.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Play darts and But it was really cool. It was a cool experience. But
that's awesome.
But insurance.
Insurance leads to nothing but trouble.
Yeah. And as my friend said, when she was a little girl, her dad said, you see those buildings? You see the tallest ones? That's insurance.
That's insurance.
They got the money.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Unless you're a salesman.
We need it.
We do. It just wasn't my thing. Definitely not my thing.
Oh, mine either.
God.
Mine either. Yeah.
Well,
but anyway,
I think we've covered a hell of a lot on this episode.
Too much.
But I've enjoyed this album so much. I've enjoyed going back and discovering your whole catalog. It's just been so wonderful to listen to. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark. Oh my God. Thank you so much for doing this. And I really appreciate it. Absolutely my pleasure. I love discovering new music. I love discovering new artists and making new friends. So it's just, I love, this is one reason why I love doing this podcast. Nobody wants to hear me talk, but I do love hearing the stories from all my guests. So yeah. What's the best way for other people to hear the album and to buy the album and to follow you to see where you're going on tour? LynnDrury.com is a good place to start. And I do a little blog post there, and also there's 2 singles that are out already right now, but the record will be out April 5th. And I'll have CDs. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the LP yet or not, but okay. You can find out all that at LynnDrury.com. And Bandcamp is also a good place if you would like to purchase single downloads or download the album there. Bandcamp is a good place. And okay. Yeah. And it'll be on all of the other things where you get your music, Apple and Spotify and all that. Hey, do you have a social media presence? So my Instagram is Lynn Drury Rocks. Okay. ROCKS. And then my Twitter or my X is Lynn Drury, which I'm not on there that much.
Yeah, me either. If it wasn't for to promote the podcast, I probably wouldn't be on it ever.
Yeah.
But that's been from the beginning, even from when it was actually Twitter.
Yeah. And my Facebook is Lynn Drury, and my music, Lynn Drury Music on Facebook. And then just pretty much everything else. YouTube is Lynn Drury Rocks. And it's either Lynn Drury or Lynn Drury Rocks. I'm trying to like work up the nerve to do TikTok and all that. I haven't really delved into it yet. Man,
I'm on a podcast network, and they've asked all of the shows to do some TikTok if we want to, and I'm like, no, I just don't even have the time or the energy to even attempt it.
Yeah. I mean, I see the way it's going, the algorithmic thing that they're doing. It's like people are just going off of other people's popularity and doing little windows of talking about that you might have seen because it was really popular. And then all the other people are just jumping on. I mean, yeah. I don't know. It's just another thing for me to waste time on and get lost in, and for my stuff to get lost in. Because definitely, I will be making more of a presence on there just because I'm gonna have to do that. Yeah, fortunately or unfortunately, however you may look at it, but. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for spending so much time with me. I know I've kept you for a while, but I really enjoy the album, and I can't wait to hear what you do next, because I know you said you're so excited about it. I am very excited. I'm very excited about some collaborations coming up, and I'm definitely ready to get back in the studio, and I'm going to probably start releasing song by song, Okay. Do a little bit of that instead of waiting 3 years to make another record. Well, that seems to be the trend lately, is just singles. Yeah. That's the way to stay relevant, I guess, and stay out there, and so people don't forget about us. Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much again. Thank you.